you're there in Dallas for 4 years?
Yeah, for 4 years.
And then you come back to Houston.
So I graduated from HTS and the University of Dallas with a bachelor's degree in philosophy in, spring 2016. So May 2016. So in the fall of 2016, I came down to St. Mary's Seminary, started First Theology. And the process at St. Mary's Seminary is you have First Theology, Second Theology, Pastoral Year, Third Theology.
Okay.
At the end of Third Theology, you get ordained a deacon.
Yes.
And then Fourth Theology. So you spend that last year, Fourth Theology, as a deacon.
Okay.
So I came back to Houston, fall 2016, started First Theology at St. Mary's Seminary.
Okay.
So I was there. I did 2 years, First Theology, Second Theology.
Yes.
And then for Pastoral Year, as I mentioned at the beginning, I went down to Galveston, Holy Family Parish in Galveston, which what's unique about Holy Family Parish in Galveston is that it's actually 6 churches.
Really?
But it's clumped together as one parish.
Okay.
So kind of on the main part of the island, there are 4 churches. There's St. Patrick, Holy Rosary, St. Mary's Cathedral Basilica, and Sacred Heart.
Okay.
And then out on the outskirts, on Jamaica Beach and Bolivar Peninsula, there are 2 other churches. Mary Star of the Sea in Jamaica Beach and Our Lady by the Sea in Bolivar.
And that's all one parish?
And it's all one parish.
That's interesting.
They did that after Hurricane Ike.
Okay.
The diocese consolidated it into one parish.
Okay.
So there are 3 priests down there. Father Jude is the pastor. And the 2 vicars.
Okay.
So they got 3 priests.
And they juggle the masses on all those?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It works out pretty nice because between Saturday night and Sunday, there are 9 masses. So each priest gets 3.
Okay.
Between Saturday night and Sunday, which is good.
That's interesting.
So I went down there for Pastoral Year. I loved it. I loved it so much. It was great.
That's a nice gig, being there in Galveston.
It was great, yeah. I loved it so much, I actually celebrated my very first Mass as a priest at St. Mary's Cathedral Basilica in Galveston.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I loved Pastoral Year. And it's also a nice break from
the studies.
The seminary, from the studies. Pastoral Year was my first time since before I started pre-K that I wasn't in a classroom.
Oh.
Because I went, all the way through school, senior year, and then straight into the seminary. And then after I graduated college, I went straight into, major seminary at St. Mary's. So Pastoral Year was my first time ever in my life in a really, really, really long time that I wasn't in a classroom.
For an entire year.
Yeah, yeah. So, I did a lot, served all the masses, obviously.
Yes.
Just was around in the office. And I, helped out a lot with our youth program. With, confirmation classes, and just the youth ministry in general. Was also, pretty active with we had a parish school. I would go visit probably 3 times a week, just go for lunch or something and just enjoy hanging out.
So at this point, you were several years in. Were you already 100% okay? This is...
Yeah, so on Pastoral Year, at the end of Pastoral Year, you're 1 year away from being ordained a deacon.
Yes.
And when you're ordained, that's when you're locked in. That's when you promise celibacy, respect and obedience, promise to pray liturgy of the hours. So, diaconate's when you're really locked into it.
But I mean, in your mindset.
Yeah. So I was, ready.
No doubts already.
Yeah, and I was ready for it. And Pastoral Year is just great because it really shows you the life of a parish, the day-to-day life, what the priest is doing. We would have, over the course of seminary, we would have summer assignments.
Yes.
So during the summer, we would be assigned to parishes. So I was at, my first summer was at Blessed Sacrament. And I was actually there with Father Ryan Stallways. Him and I were there together.
Okay.
So Blessed Sacrament, right by Minute Maid. And then my second summer, I was living at St. Rose of Lima, helping out in the vocations office. My third summer, I went to Costa Rica for Spanish immersion, which was great. Loved it. And then my fourth summer, I went to Omaha, Nebraska, to IPF, the Institute for Priestly Formation.
Oh, wow.
It's essentially a spirituality program.
Okay.
It's housed at Creighton University.
Okay.
But But a lot of diocesan seminarians from around the whole country go.
Okay.
So we always go in between minor seminary, which is college seminary,
yes,
and major seminary. So right after I graduated from HTS, that summer I went to IPF, Institute for Priestly Formation, and it's 9 weeks of kind of a lot of stuff about spirituality, celibacy, prayer.
Were you the only one in your class?
No, I went with Father Wayne and Father Houston because when Father Wayne entered, even though he was 1 year after me, he did 3 years of college seminary. So we were, although we were at different seminaries, we were on the same timeline, same track. Father Houston came in as a pre-theologian, which meant he already had graduated college.
Yes.
So he did 2 years of what's called pre-theology.
Yes.
And so just because of the the timing in the year he entered, we were classmates in first theology.
Okay.
So we were the guys from Houston that went. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else from Houston. There were a couple other guys who I think who have since discerned out.
Okay.
So that summer I went to Omaha, Nebraska. That's also the summer where a really good friend of mine left. He left after only 2 days at IPF. I think he already kind of knew beforehand.
Okay.
And just being there, he's like, yeah, it's time. So that was really, that was really sad when he left.
Was that tough for you?
Yeah, it was sad, especially because I didn't know about it. He told me about 2 or 3 weeks prior that he had been considering this. So I was kind of, it was all still really new to me. And then the summer after first theology, I went to Resurrection Parish in Denver Harbor and was there. And then the summer after that, I was a chaplain at Memorial Hermann in the Texas Medical Center.
So you've been around.
Yeah, so we do 1 summer of hospital chaplaincy in a program called CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education.
Okay.
Which consists of, visiting patients in hospitals and then also some classroom stuff.
Okay.
But for me, it was a really good experience of especially visiting the patients, getting exposed to, what it's like to minister people in a hospital.
Yes.
How to navigate a hospital. Especially in the medical center. I mean, those things are massive.
Yes.
But so a lot of good. I had a really good time at CPE at Memorial Hermann, and then the summer after pastoral year. So CPE was right before pastoral year. Right after pastoral year, that summer I did. I went on an 8-day silent retreat, and then another retreat up at Steubenville University. And then for the whole entire month of July, I went to the Holy Land.
Wow.
So I was in the Holy Land for the whole month of July.
Was that part of, or is this a separate trip?
No, that was, part of formation. It's not required, but the diocese usually gives guys an opportunity to go to the Holy Land.
Okay, that's
so
good.
A lot of the seminarians have been to the Holy Land, because it's an important place to go.
Of course.
So
yeah.
So and it typically happens after pastoral year because that summer's kind of open.
Okay.
So after pastoral year, I was all of July. I was in the Holy Land.
What was that like?
It was really good. So I was there for 30 days. So I had a lot of, and the program I was with, also had a lot of free time built in where I was, weekends were free. So I was able to do what I wanted, go where I wanted. I think my 2 favorite things were I went to what's called Jacob's Well, which is the well where Jesus met the woman at the well.
Okay.
And what's interesting, so we were there, and you can actually still drink water out of that well.
Wow.
They have a bucket that goes down, and you can drink water out of it. So I drank water out of that well, which that was pretty amazing.
Wow.
And then the other thing I really, really liked was the site, they call it the Primacy of Peter, where Jesus said to Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" And he says, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you."
Yes.
They have, a church there, and they also have part of that gospel scene. It says Jesus was cooking fish on top of some rocks or something.
Okay.
They have those rocks still there.
Okay.
And they're inside of the church from what I remember, and it's right on the shore of the Sea of Galilee.
Wow.
So just touching the water in the Sea of Galilee.
Yes.
Saying this is the place where, Jesus was here a lot. This is the place where, he asked Peter, "Do you love me?" after his resurrection.
Wow.
So that was another thing that I really, really loved, was just being at the Sea of Galilee, being able to touch the water in the Sea of Galilee. They also have. I was able to spend one whole night in the Holy Sepulchre, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. You can sign up, and they lock the doors at 9 p.m. And then open them up again at 5 a.m. and you can stay there the whole night. So me and a couple people from my group, we did it. But what's funny is the next day we actually had to wake up early to go somewhere. So we were planning. Okay, apparently sometimes they would open up the doors at midnight.
Okay.
If someone had to come in or out or something.
Okay.
But because typically once they close the doors, they don't open them. But
Yes.
occasionally they would open them at midnight. So we said, all right, if they open them at midnight, we're going to leave.
Yes.
So that we can go back and get some sleep. Because I think the next day we were driving out to the Dead Sea.
Okay.
But they didn't open the gates. They didn't open the doors at midnight. So we ended up staying from 9 p.m. till about 5 a.m.
Okay.
in the Holy Sepulchre.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really awesome. I did at one point go to some secluded area and try to sleep a little bit. I couldn't make it all the way through the night. But inside that church is Calvary, and they still have the hole where they put the cross.
Wow.
Where his cross was stuck in the ground.
That's amazing.
And then the tomb is really not that far from Calvary.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing.
Yeah.